Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. Last year I came out with a series of videos, there was a few of them, called Crazy Comic Book Prices, and I thought that right now, here we're in the beginning of 2022, I'd do a bit of a revisiting, if you will, of that series. I'll just talk about it in brief. Basically what I wanted to do was talk about, are comic books still going for crazy prices? And if so, which ones are still good and which one maybe didn't do so good. So I'm going to start off with West Coast Avengers number 45, which I believe I featured in Crazy Comic Book Prices part 2 rather. So last year, if you visit that video and you could see how I chronicled it, I got a sold listing off of eBay. A 9.8 West Coast Avengers 45 sold for $1,400 and change. What was it? I wrote it down here. Was it $1,495? Something to that effect. All right. And around that time, there were a few other sales that were either the same amount, close to it, or whatever. Regardless, it was a crazy comic book price. For how many years? That book was cheap, right? So how is that book doing now? Well, I went back to, and there's many different places you could get this data, but I chose eBay. Let's see what some recent comic book sales of that book in 9.8, 9.6 are going for right now. As you can see, almost a year later, I think I did that video, geez, I don't know, was it February of 2021? Now we're still in January of at the end of January 2022, or at least it's the filming of this. It really went down, okay? About, what, $1,000 worth of prices here. We have the pictures I showed you, we have a 9.8 sold recently for $504 and some change, a 9.6 sold for $311 and change, and an 8.0 sold for $66. Okay? So that book took a big hit. Big difference from Crazy Comic Book Prices Part 2 to now. Now, there were other books that I did in other videos. I might go over them in a future video. I'm not going to go over them all in this video, but I thought that was one that was definitely worth looking at today, because I think a lot of us were like, wow, it's crazy how much that's going for, because of the WandaVision show, and the WandaVision show is not on now, and who knows, maybe that book might pick up again. But I think maybe some of you are curious, is this the beginning of the end? Is this the downward trend and all that stuff? No, I don't think so. My question to you about a book like that or books like that is, well, what did you expect? Did you expect something like that to retain its value? Seriously? White Vision? I mean, use your head. It was hot in the moment, and it cooled off. Will it get hot again if they do something with the White Vision? Maybe. Will it go back to that price? I don't know. But that's not a book that retains its value. You got to use your head. Now, that brings me to the last part of this video. What books retain their value? Well, I have one for you. It's called Amazing Fantasy 15. People thinking that, everything's going down. Amazing Fantasy 15 didn't go down. It's setting all sorts of records. At the time, the filming of this video, I'm sure there are viewers that watch this maybe a month from now, 2 months from now. Maybe the book takes a little bit of a dip, and they're like, oh, see, it's falling. You make the same mistakes over and over again. You think that the book is falling and people lose interest in it, then it shoots back up to crazy prices, and you're wondering, how did this happen? With a book like Amazing Fantasy 15, like I asked you with West Coast Avengers 45, what did you expect? It's the first appearance of Spider-Man. Of course it's going to go to a crazy price and probably stay relatively close to that crazy price because of what it is. When it comes to Vision, White Vision, it goes to a crazy price, but of course it went down because of what it is. White Vision, Spider-Man, they don't compare. They shall never meet. So let's take a look at some prices for some Amazing Fantasy 15s. I'm sure this is like, beating a dead horse, but let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at a coverless one that recently sold. That's crazy. That's more than what I paid for my 2.0 Amazing Fantasy 4 years ago. I mean, a coverless copy, I think, around the time, and even before, a little before, a year before I bought my copy, a coverless copy is going for maybe about $4,000 to $5,000, and now it went for $15,000. Does it mean that it's going to keep that $15,000 price tag? No. May go down to 13, may go down to 11, may keep 15. Who knows? Regardless, like I was saying before, it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man, you cannot compare Spider-Man to characters like Ghost Rider or the white version of Vision or any of those other characters, Moon Knight, Blade. They are they're in separate camps. Spider-Man is one of the, in my opinion, the third most memorable comic book character of all time, underneath Superman and Batman. He just is, and he always will be. You're not going to go from Superman to Batman, Spider-Man to Ghost Rider, or take your pick of any of those crazy books that went up in value that people are like, oh my God, this used to be $10. Oh. Well, if they were $10, why weren't you buying them? You just thought that would never happen. None of us did. None of us knew all the circumstances that led up to these prices going to what they're going for right now. But we went over a coverless Amazing Fantasy. Let's go over what a 2.5 recently sold for. That's amazing. No pun intended. Some might say, oh, that's ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But again, it's Spider-Man. So, I think it's, like I said, whenever I talk about Amazing Fantasy and its price, to truly have the first appearance of Spider-Man in your collection is really one of the big three, like I just said a few moments ago. Yeah, people argue who the big three are, I don't think anyone really doubts that Superman and Batman are on that list. Some people may say Wonder Woman would be next, or Flash. I don't think so. Just my opinion. But, you're free to argue it all you want that it's not correct. I think I'm correct. So, yeah, the point again is there are some books that, you have to ask yourself, what did you expect? Of course they were going to go down. For those of you that last year, I can't believe 2021 is now last year, right? But those of you that bought books like West Coast Avengers 45 and a bunch of other books that I talked about in my Crazy Comic Book Prices videos, and books that I didn't talk about, that were able to buy them for fairly cheap and sell them for some of those prices that were outlined in some of my videos, or just some of the prices that they were going for that were really crazy. Good for you. But some of those books are not worth holding on to. For me, remember, as a collector, I'm a collector first. I still would like to get the first appearance of White Vision for my collection. I would never spend the money that it takes to get a 9.8. That just, to me, it's not worth it. I would be happy with a $50 copy that's maybe an 8.0 or an 8.5 or a 7.5, and I call it a day. But I'm not buying that book because, when White Vision picks up again, I'm really going to cash in on that 7.5 or 8.0 I got. It's just not worth it for me to do that. But like I said, as a collector, I like to get it. But for those that bought them thinking that they were going to flip them down the line, that this was a book that was just going to keep going up and up and up, usually people that like to flip books, from my experiences, they get them and they want to flip them pretty quickly. There are some that hold on to them for years, but they usually are very careful which books they pick that they're going to hold on to for several years. They think that it has good value in the long run, like a book like Strange Academy #1. Okay? Strange Academy #1 is probably a book that might be good to get in the long run. You could probably get a 9.8 for about $250. And you hold on to it with the idea that you're going to hold on to it for years, rather than, I got to quickly flip this. You think it's going to be hot within the next year where I could sell it for $1,000 or whatever? It's probably not one of those. I mean, it could be, but it probably isn't. It's really a different type of mindset. So if you adapt that mindset, and when you see how the prices drop, you could avoid that in your investment choices. So, let me know in the comments what other books that you've noticed that have taken a significant drop, because that at least from that recent sale, of course there'll always be some that are over $500. I'm talking about the West Coast Avengers 45. There might be some that 98s that sell for $700 or $600. There's always that change, but regardless, whether it's $700 or $500, to go from almost $1,500 in a year, it's pretty much a dip. But what other books you've noticed that had such a rise to the top and have taken pretty much like a meteor fall back down to earth? Be interested in hearing about it in the comments. Well, anyway, take care.